All right, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. We're gonna go ahead and get going here. I'm gonna be working some more on my fan art that I've done of Yakumo and Emily from Code Vein. I made a little bit more progress off stream, but not like a crazy amount. So we're gonna see if we can try to get as far as we can today. So what I did basically is I did some line work for the blood veil, excuse me, that he's wearing, and I did some hatching, and other than that, I made some guides with all these various colors for some of the details. I always forget like just how detailed like these character models are till I like really start looking at the references like more, and I'm just like, oh geez. Uh, so yeah, so I made a bunch of guides, so that should you know, hopefully make things a little easier. So let's just go ahead and start doing some of this here. Try to get some of these like straps he has going on here. They are their design senses is let's put straps everywhere, so it's like, if like a hot topic, like Yakumo ran into a hot topic basically, and like that's where he got his blood veil from. So not that I've never been in a hot topic, but like it's just it's a little pricey in there, and like I said, everything is like, we're not sure what to do with this design, so let's just slap belts onto it. Which, I mean, some people like that. Like, I'm not knocking it. I used to be semi-goth, so, I get it. Hey, how's it going, Annie? Yeah, it's an art stream today. Trying to get all the crazy details that Yakumo's got going on here. Which might be a little unnecessary because most people aren't going to look at this. Oh my god. And it's being a pain. But you know what? It's okay. Oh my god. Ken is like freaking out here. I have a bandage on my finger. I trying to, how like when you open a thing of like spices, there's always like a plastic cap, and then like a freaking then after that there's like a whole like seal. That plastic cap just like absolutely like tore the skin off my finger. Just trying to get it off. And I'm just like, Jesus. No, Pensy. Uh, you're not allowed to get the world record for having COVID the most times. I can't allow it. We need Pensy to be on this earth as long as possible, since you're like a national treasure. You gotta protect the Pensy. Yeah, I mean, it just makes it's making like me accidentally hit like so there's two like rocker buttons on my tablet pen, which I never use, and keep like pushing them by accident because just like the bandage is like right around my right like fingertip. So that's a fun time. It's making things really annoying. Yeah, got to run your diagnostics and your antivirus there. Then you'll be back to operational status. I'm also like super gunky because of allergies too, so I apologize if I'm gonna be clearing my throat a lot here. I really want to just get to coloring this. Like that's always my favorite part of doing artwork. So, aw. I mean, I'm sure they understand though. I mean, you're super sick. Like, I mean, if somebody told me they couldn't come to my birthday party because they had COVID, I'd be like, yes, please stay home. Please get better. I also don't want COVID for my birthday, so I know you just want to be there though, because you're a good person, so I get it. Let's see, make this make sense here. With these folds. I love this band. I like this genre of music in general. It makes me happy. It's called synth wave or retro wave. Like very member berries for the 80s, but better. No, stop. Hey, all right. So supposed to be supposed to continue behind all this. So see if I can figure this out. Stop! Oh my god, I'm about to take this band-aid off. Drive me nuts. I'll just have to I'll just have to raw dog this stream here and hopefully it doesn't hurt. Oh my god, now I can't get the band-aid off. I put it on too tight. No! No! Eh. Okay. Oh, that's so much better. Not much better for my wound, but better for working. So I'll survive. I'm a man. I can deal with it. It's actually kind of a funny statement because women have much higher tolerance for pain. So it's kind of silly for that to be like a, oh, I'm a man. I can, I can handle anything. Like, can you? Because, they give birth, and that's equivalent to having your entire body set on fire, which I can't even imagine. Nor would I even like willingly subject myself to that. I'm not equipped for that. Even if I wanted to give it a shot, if you're a true man, have a baby. Exactly. No, I agree. Everybody who makes that claim, they should have to have a man baby by default. You get a little badge and be like, I gave birth to a baby. I don't know. I always think like gender stereotypes are so silly all the time. Especially like, when I was younger, I wasn't like as like knowledgeable about things. So, of course you say dumb things like when you're a kid. But now it's like, now I'm way more knowledgeable about like the world and how things actually are. So it's like, man, boy was I ignorant. I got better. I'm a good person now. I mean, not that I was like a terrible person before, but it's just one of those things where I hadn't really learned life lessons yet, and like the people I was hanging out with were not like the most empathetic of people. Hell yeah, Annie. Excuse me. Oh my god. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, Havoc got affiliate, like, which is really fast. Like it took me a really long time for me to get affiliate, so I'm still in affiliate status because I would like to hit partner, but in order to get partner, I'd have to have an average of 75 viewers across like I think it's like 4 streams or something like that, which means that at least like 3/4 of my current followers would have to show up for like 4 streams, and then I'd have to maintain it too. So I've been making like some YouTube shorts, so hopefully that'll bring in some people because Twitch doesn't have like a very good like discovery system for people that don't bring in a lot of views. All right, that might be a little bit funky, but you know what? We're gonna roll with it. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean most of my followers I got through Twitter. Um Hopefully I'm getting some now through Blue Sky as well. Yeah, I can't be on X anymore, like with the whole Grok thing, and I just I can't stand like Elon Musk. He's like a Nazi, so I have absolutely no love for Nazis, so he can't have my $8 a month. Plus, he doesn't need it. Like, fuck him for making it $8 a month. I was trying to make it a more positive like place, but you know what? I'm not gonna pay for that and then have my art stolen, so you can kiss my ass. The art theft was definitely like, the biggest like nail in the coffin. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have some like brain dead losers taking my artwork and typing in a sentence so they can fuck it up. Which, it really sucks because like AI used as like a tool to like, assist in things, sure. But if you're gonna like just like completely like generate something and then not do any of like your own work in the end of it and then say that it's yours, like no. Like if you want to like get ideas from it and then, actually like create it yourself from that, sure. But like AI slop is just it's so gross. Like I hate it. Yeah, and like also like crazy like right wingers have been taking, people that have been doing LGBTQT artwork and like changing it with like grok. It's like what the fuck? Like how bored are you that like, how dull is your life that you actively go out of your way to change someone else's artwork just because you don't agree with like, who they are as an individual, as a person, which doesn't affect your life in any way, shape, or form anyway. Like, the argument they always use is, oh, the bathroom. It's like, like if somebody is like peeping on you in the bathroom anyway, it doesn't matter what gender they are or how they identify. It just means they're a pervert. And there's plenty of those. And those people are generally like white straight dudes. So, yeah. Statistically speaking, like most violent crimes and like sexual crimes are done by white cis men. Like this is coming from a white guy. I'm white. I know my model makes me look kind of like Middle Eastern, but I do look like that when I tan. Um, so I don't know. I might also need to do a DNA test at some point because I might have some other stuff. But for the most part, I identify as a white guy. But I feel like white people are the worst criminals on the planet. Here, I'm about to get banned on Twitter. I mean, not Twitter, Twitch. I don't know. I I mean, as far as I know about my heritage, I know I do have like a lot of Native American, and I know every like white guy says that, but like my dad's dad. Oh no, my dad's dad lived like he was born on a reservation, like straight up. So a little bit closer than the average white guy that claims it. So just a little bit. And I've had actual like Middle Eastern people like swear up and down that I was like from like Iraq or something like that. Like when I'm tan, and I'm like, nope, I'm from I'm from the north in America. That's where I was born. Anyway, moving on to more positive subjects. Back to the artwork here. Sorry guys, I went on a little bit of a rant there. I'm probably just sad because Havoc's at work right now. He had to physically go into the office. It's so like weird now. Like our uh our 10-year marriage anniversary is coming up here in May. So it's like really strange like when she's like not around, like she's not home. Yeah, I have a good amount of like French. Um but this is all from like my other family members telling me this. Not an actual DNA test, so I don't know. As far as I'm aware, the French part of my family was fled when they were doing the revolution where they were chopping off um, the heads of the nobles, uh, for being like crappy to regular people and hoarding all the wealth. Look how effective that was. Just saying. I mean, Havoc just found out recently she might have like Slavic Jewish heritage, possibly. Not confirmed yet, but yeah. That's another one I get a lot too. A lot of people think I'm Jewish, and as far as I know, nope. Of course, I now live in the South in America, so people just assume pretty much anybody who's from the North is Jewish just by looking at them. It's like, okay, just because I have dark hair and dark eyes does not mean I'm Jewish. Like, chill out, dude. Soapbox Anarchy. I'm just like standing on a soapbox today. Ah. The world. The worldo. Speaking of which, the new season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has come out, and I am sad because I do not have Netflix. But apparently, they only released like the first episode, and then they're like, Uh, kind of just saying episode 2 will be sometime in 2026. It's like, well, that doesn't help. It's like, why didn't you release them all at the same time? You weirdos. Ooh, yeah. I mean, when I had COVID, like I was literally out of commission for anything for like 3.5 weeks. Like I all I could do was like lay in bed, try and sleep. When I did sleep, I would wake up like absolutely miserable. I would do my best to try to keep some food down, but that was like really hard. My main problem was that I was just coughing so much and it hurt so bad to cough. Like my whole body was aching, my ribs were sore. Literally the worst thing I think I've ever experienced. I mean, granted, like Havoc and I don't really go out all that often. Like, we generally just go and get like our groceries and stuff, and um it's pretty much it, unless like, recently we went and we helped some friends move. But there's not really we really haven't had anything go on lately where we like go out anywhere that we would be likely to contract it. So not 100%. We're gonna fake it till we make it, though. We're gonna act like it is correct. We're not even gonna question it. Ooh, okay. I have not been doing enough art lately. I think it's because like most of my art pieces are have lately been like this one where they take a lot of time to complete. I think I need to start doing like more like sketchy things or things that don't take quite as much time to put out so I can put out more, which probably doesn't help my cause with like my getting like followers and subscribers is like I don't really share a lot of artwork, so might be one of my issues. Just maybe. Oh, I get that. Not knowing what day it is. Like unless I have like a specific thing to do on a specific day, I have trouble keeping track of what day it is. Time is a human construct after all. We made that shit up. I have no idea how to draw this belt at this angle. Probably, right? Damn you, Yakumo, and all your belts. Too many, man. Need you to calm down on the belts. Of course, it's my fault for picking like a wild like perspective. Have to draw them from at least one more. Yeah, exactly. How do we know that his clothes won't fly off if he doesn't have one more belt? That's an important thing to know. Sure, Emily would be okay with that. His clothes just randomly came flying off. Poor Emily. He's too dumb. Too dumb to realize that she's in love with him. Too Japanese. He's like, but we're friends, and she's like, no, like seriously, I love you. Like, don't friend zone Emily Chan. Although I'm pretty sure every single one of his friends that he grew up with, especially Ricky. And I'm so glad I color coded this. It makes it way easier. Ah, I lost my mouse. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. I hate it when I do that. Speaking of JoJo, I like this season of JoJo. Like, one, because, like, Joseph Joestar is the most ridiculous Joestar ever. And two, they didn't even, like, defeat the bad guy. They actually just, like, shot him out of a volcano into space because he was just too strong. They were just like, well, let's just get rid of him. He's not coming back anytime soon. He'll be somebody else's problem on another planet. And the bad guy is like immortal in that one, so it's like, he could they could bring him back, which would be pretty silly. He could complete an orbit and come back and get revenge on the Joestars. All right, now we got other belts here. This song is from Black Lagoon, which is also an amazing anime. Once I get some colors on this will be way less confusing visually, hopefully. I do this. Goes over time. Maybe I should have color coded different, but that might have helped. Ooh, nice. Which YouTuber? I really want to start making more like YouTube centered content. It's a lot of work though. It's mostly I just don't really I really just don't want to edit videos. I think that's my biggest problem with that. Oh, nice. I considered making like a Monster Hunter channel because I love Monster Hunter like a lot, but due to like the current Monster Hunter games taking ridiculous like PC rigs to play them, like I'd be kind of like at a disadvantage because I wouldn't be able to get like the footage that I need. I just realized probably could have found a belt brush to do this with. It probably would have been a lot easier. Oh wow, you're a dedicated fan. Of course, that's not a surprise. You've been with me since the beginning, so nice. Makes sense. Again, this area might look a little sloppy. That's okay. Might be able to fix some of that with some rendering. I mean, I really like streaming, so I plan to do this for certainly not going to give up before I can, start making an actual living off of it. So Anaki's not going. I might have to start streaming a little bit less because I do have to pick up some possibly like some part-time work to kind of, help out financially here. Unless I suddenly get like a ton of subs like out of nowhere. Be awesome. No pressure, anybody. These aren't as close to the viewer, so they're not quite as important. So I don't think it'll matter too much that they're a little sloppy. I mean, technically, one like good art technique too is like whatever is not like important to like the viewer in the image, you can leave it like way less detailed. Or as you get farther away from like the focal point, you can do that as well. Kind of aligns with. Ooh, nice. Hell yeah. I've got a folder with the stuff that you sent me, so when I have like a house, I plan on taking all the fan art people have sent me and printing it off and putting it up on my walls. So of course, no, I love everybody's artwork. It's always nice when it comes from a friend too. So has more meaning to it. Those bills. So I can print that off. Put their triangular kind of here. Yay. Those are done. I would have to look through the ones that I have from you. So right now, I can't really answer that, but I will take a look at them soon. Let's see. Probably, probably do the legs because this is like a big part. Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's actual. And he's got like so many fucking pockets and stuff too. It's just so much, man. I mean, to be fair, their world is like a kind of like a post-apocalyptic hellscape, so I guess it makes sense to have a lot of like storage space on them, like supplies and whatnot. Have a place to keep your items. Oh yeah, I'm glad you like that. I had fun with it. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun too. I think I like those too because I got to do some like environmental practice too, being in like the little kind of castle slash cathedral kind of spot I put him in. I used to like absolutely hate doing like backgrounds, so come to like them a little bit more now. Because like it makes sense. Like it's you know you got to have your characters like in an actual environment of some kind, or to have like the storytelling or tell them inform the viewer of like at least where they kind of like exist. Hell yeah, I'm glad she likes it. They know they're listening. That happens with Havoc and I. We'll be like, oh, we should make some tacos or something. And then like I'll be like, either listening to music or looking at a website or something. And on the side, there's an ad for tacos. It's like, all right, man, I need to stop listening so closely. That really needs to be illegal, but you know what? We live in America where pretty much everything. I probably save. I haven't saved in a all right. Now let's do this belt. Get another belt. I always love metal versions of pop songs. Goes so hard. Hmm. Being ADHD with my music. Sorry, guys. I like some pattern he has on here, but it's so pixelated I can't really tell. It's like try to, I'll just kind of wing it. That's the best I can do. Circle or oval in here. Should have made this. Doesn't make you a baby. You're legitimately sick. Like it's totally okay to, say, "Hey, I don't feel well." Something. Just gonna apply that crazy detail. It's the bottom of the image anyway. Good enough. It's gonna be small anyway. So we can finish up this. How many tension points are? I always have trouble with loathing. Got to practice it more. Different like types of folds and whatnot. Well, like I said, it's not a major part of the image. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it, Pensy. Not a biggie. Just happy that you hang out with me, you know? I enjoy the company. Soon I'll be big streamer guy with like tons of subs, so don't even worry about it. We're just gonna keep on trucking until that happens. No, use that to have a good time with your sister. Don't worry about it. I mean, sure, money is a factor for like one of the reasons why I stream, but it's not the only reason. So, I mean, honestly, like the amount of people like I interact with, like IRL, has like diminished so much that it's just nice to have people you know, to hang out with online and chill. I was getting pretty lonely there, so no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Ooh, I got one leg done. Hell yeah. Get rid of some of this. guides here that I don't need any. Yeah, I mean, the claw games are definitely. I get it. They're a trap. I'm not very good at them either. I'm pretty good so far. I could have also done like a different technique for like at least the close, but I didn't do that with Emily, so I didn't want to make it like different. Ooh, nice. Hell yeah. Pokemon. Get rid of some of these sketch lines. Do that. Well, the some of this and it's necessary. That some people, some artists do keep like their sketch lines and put them like really like faintly on the final. But you know, if I take the time to do all these like line cleanups, I'm just gonna have those be the featured parts. All right, that's looking much cleaner so far. Okay, main belt. Oh, thanks, Fancy. I try to have like a good variety of things that I listen to. I mean, honestly, like I wish I could remember all the uh rap and hip hop I used to listen to because like I've had to like remake my playlist like over and over again because like I'll switch to a new like music player every now and then I'll forget to go through and find all my old music. But for the most part, I listen to a lot of of course a lot of metal, a lot of rock, um some instrumental stuff, a lot of like um anime soundtracks, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So uh, there's some closer. Ooh, nice. I mean, hopefully you'll feel better. Like if you don't, like, just concentrate on you know, recovering. It's the main thing. You need healthy pensies. Don't push yourself too hard. Like even though I'm like, trying to stream like 5 days a week now, like I'm starting to get a little tired too from that. So, but it's also because like I'm also like I've been working out, trying to get back into shape and stuff too. So that's taking a lot of energy out of me as well. Away from Havoc. Oh yeah, she's way out. Yay! Vegeta's being was like losing his mind when I got up. Like, come on, play with me now. Like, no, I gotta get ready for stream. Sorry, buddy. You know the drill. We got him this big like cat tree thing, that they like cats like to hang out on. And he's like being all weird about like being on it. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, like he's been like really like uh really clingy and really needy. I mean, he's always kind of like that, but like more so than usual. Like I hope he's not getting sick or anything. I don't want my kitty to be sick. He's my precious son. I want him to be happy all the time. He's very spoiled. I try to play with him at least twice a day, for like a good like, 15, 20 minutes or so. Because cats do need a lot of stimulation. They get bored real easy, so I generally can't pull that off on Fridays because I've been helping Havoc with her streams too, so I usually only have time to play with him once, and I'm like, sorry, buddy, because it's like, we live in an apartment complex, so, and I'm on the second floor, so him like running around late at night would like really bother neighbors. I don't want to let anybody get kicked out. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. He's not an outside cat, so well, he's not an outside cat because we don't let him. We found him outside. Well, actually, my sister-in-law, who also is a streamer, by the way, Little Nugget, spelled with two nines. Anyway, uh, she found him. She's like, "Don't you want a cat?" And we're like, "Ah." At first, we were like, "I don't know if we can afford to take care of a kitty." But then I came and I met him, and I was like, "Okay, he's my kitty." He is 100,000% like he's my familiar. So son and my familiar. Oh yeah. I mean the steps aren't too bad here. Being on the second floor, they're not like steep steps either, which is good. They're pretty reasonably like angled steps. And I think that's because a lot of older people live here, which is really nice too, because it's nice and quiet. Like if I'm gonna live in an apartment complex, like having quiet neighbors is really but like I said, the goal is to make all the monies and buy a house in Japan, move there. I am not getting permanently stuck in the US. Fuck that. Alright, getting there. Oh no. Oh god. Yeah, save the kitty from a horrendous fate, for sure. That's awful. I don't understand people that can abuse like animals. Doesn't know better. Oh, she's like disabled. still, you got to make sure that, if somebody's going to have a pet, that they have to be, capable of caring for them without harming. Exactly. That's how I feel about Vegeta. He's my son. People are like, "Oh, are you and Havoc gonna have kids?" I'm like, "Hell no, I've already got one." He's a brat already, so still got to get him chipped so he can. I got to get him chipped, and I got to get him special shots before we go to Japan too. It's like 300 some dollars to get him chipped. Uh, I think I have to get him a little kitty passport too with all this information. So should submit like a his passport image be the one with him with like straight across eyes and like bad ears on. This cat is a fugitive. He's professionally bad. He learned a lot of bad habits from living at the last place we were living because the cats there were not well behaved. So maybe I can. Ha ha ha. Tilt it a little. Perfect. Makes things so much easier to do. Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, I might do this too. Tilt. That's a lot of those that I don't have to draw. Perfect. Hell yeah. That'll save me a lot of trouble. Yeah. Save. Other side. I forgot to. Oh well. Yay, Havoc's home. Woohoo! That makes me happy. Luckily, I didn't get the shit scared out of me this time having my headphones on. Because that happens. I'm like, who the fuck is in the apartment? What? Oh, thanks. You're the best. get rid of these. It's like, I want to play. I'll play with him when I'm... All right. That's on for his suspenders that I guess he needs to keep his pants up during battle. Oh, damn it. Good day. The weather just will not make up its mind, huh? Ooh. We have a lucky white squirrel that lives outside of our apartment. So, huh? Yeah, but it could be for. And he's been really bad about being under my feet. They always give tropical smoothie. Ew. They have catfish at tropical Oh no. It's a squirrel, so if you see a white squirrel, it's considered lucky. Like an albino squirrel. They're also really cute. It's also kind of like, one of those things where you like crack an egg and you get two yolks in one. That's also considered lucky. Yeah, they're pretty neat. They're very very like their fur is like Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, dude. I'm excited mom's home too. Oh, he's in the box? It's kind of crazy. It's actually hanging out in a little kitty carrier. He usually fights me like tooth and nail to put him in there. Actually, he doesn't really fight that. Just a little bit. Dad, I really okay. I guess. And then he cries the whole time, like being transported because he's scared. Like, no, Dad's gonna take me and leave me somewhere. Like, no, dude, I'm coming back for you. You're going with me wherever we go. I will never leave you, man. At least not permanently. Feel like pretty much almost the entire 2.5 hours of this stream I've been doing belts. Oh my goodness, Yakumor. Come on, man. You got too many belts. I call the belt police. No, I mean he's got like abandonment issues because he was, I, I guess somebody left him like outside. They must have either moved or passed away or something, and you know he was outside on his own. Either that or he was just bad and ran away. But I don't really know his origin story. But now he's my kid. He's not going. I would never leave him. He a kill, dude. Really okay, man. and we're gonna play with you. You just gotta be patient for just a little bit longer. Dad, don't go. I'll never see you again. Like as soon as we like go to the store, he's out like putting our faces on the back of like mailboxes. Have you seen my parents? Handing out flyers. Oh, I know. I know we love. He's good sometimes. That's another belt down. Swear. He's got more belts on his jacket too, like on the sleeves, and like I think even coming down the back of the jacket. Dude, so many belts. Can we not? But I might even go ahead and call it here because I'm starting to get a little burnt out from drawing these belts. So, yeah, I mean we made some progress at least. Yeah, yeah, I think this is a good point. I don't want to like get too burnt out and have the lines get like really like sloppy and stuff. So, all right, well, this is as far as I got today. I'm gonna try to get as far as I can, if not finish the lines off stream, and then Friday we'll pick it back up. So let me go ahead and throw you guys in the lock here. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I worked on this Code Vein fan art here. I appreciate the company, it makes me happy, makes it a lot easier for me to get things done and not get bored or distracted. So thank you so much for that. Please give me a follow to see when I go live. Consider subscribing, that would help me out tremendously. I will be back on Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Until then, I'll catch you Friday. Bye bye bye.